Hey, you.
Hi.
I am so excited to teach this class with you, Lynn. Everybody, this is Lyn Bell.
Hi,
Lynn,
everyone.
Lynn is a magnificent astrologer, writer, a wonderful teacher, and one of my dearest friends for decades. And it is a privilege and a pleasure to, I'm so excited about being able to teach a class. I am, and you know it. So this class was inspired by something Lynn said, and I'm going to turn this over in a second to her. When she referred to a project she was doing called Being Swallowed by the Dragon. So, and I have said to her for years, and this really is largely inspired by her genius, that if I had a backup profession, it would be an astrologer. And because to hear a brilliant astrologer's viewpoint on why things happen as they do, how they unfold, is absolute nectar. So let's talk about the class.
Wow, Carolyn. Well, you're excited. You know how excited I am. Well, we're going to, one of the frame for this class is what is going on in the sky in terms of the nodes. It's a little bit as though there's a vortex. We're being encircled by cosmic forces all the time, where we're part of a much larger universe that's running through every cell in our body. And part of that is a process that's revealed in the eclipse cycle. And the eclipses were always called the dragon. Like they were referred to as serpents, as dragons. We called them the nodes, but the node really means like the knot that's built if we don't handle these cycles well. And in this process right now, the south node of the dragon is in the sign of Scorpio, which is the maximum contact with what's with our dark side in a lot of ways. It's almost like we're being pulled to bring out the worst of ourselves. And what we're asked to do is bring out the best of ourselves, to bring out what really matters,
Mhm.
to sit, to find the solid ground of our psyche and
Mhm.
the solid ground of our deepest values.
Mhm.
Uh,
You,
Yeah.
you know, one, it occurred to me that we are really in that transition from living in polarity, which are the nodes,
Mm,
living in that sense of polarity, very Piscean, where we're so accustomed and have been for millennia of thinking in duality, where things are right or wrong, left or right, Western, Eastern, female, male. And when you think in duality, it organizes your world. It organizes how you rationalize. I've got to be a winner, then that makes you the loser. I've got
mm.
to be up, that puts you down. It makes everything easy to think about. It organizes everything so simply. And I think this system of duality is falling apart. It's becoming psychically obsolete. We can't resolve our problems with this system anymore.
Well, the system will split us
Right,
because we're in a moment where it's very extreme. The
right,
system, this invitation to duality, let's say it's always present,
right,
but there are moments where we step out of it into other forms of consciousness. And
right,
it's not that duality is it's not that thinking in terms of opposites is always bad.
right.
But when it splits us so that we can't stay whole or we can't see the other without seeing something demonic,
Right,
then
right,
we're really in trouble.
right. But I think that's what's so extraordinary about this time, that we have options, that when we are in a system of duality, and we can, what consciousness is about is getting to a place where we recognize the way I'm thinking is insufficient. And when we talk about like being pulled to opposites, I think that's a way of discovering within ourselves. I need more resources. The way I think is insufficient. I have to find a larger scope, a third way.
Yeah, a third way, or and maybe my consciousness has to break
Yes.
into a new form.
Yes.
And it's almost like, yeah, almost breaking into something prismatic,
Yes.
or something we don't know yet. And some of this is linked to a very exciting development, which is going to happen next year, which is that Pluto goes out of Capricorn, and Capricorn is a sign which is a little bit like climbing a ladder,
Mhm.
and it will enter Aquarius for the first time. And this indicates a whole change in the way we organize everything, everything in our society, everything in our world. And a lot of what is happening is the old structure doesn't want the change to happen. Like it's like whenever we reach one of these big changes,
Right.
uh, this one spends 17 years, for example. Whenever we reach a big one, there's a huge resistance to the new mode. Huge.
Right. Right. But I think isn't I think that could be, and this is what we're exploring in this series, is prior to the next and new coming in. It's essential that all the limitations as to why the next and the new
Mm.
needs to come in has to be unearthed and looked at.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's just a very beginning of something new. It's a couple months. It's not definitive in any way. And it's a, we know in all these systems when something is being birthed, it's dangerous.
Right.
And we need all the clarity, all the resources, all the
Right.
support in
Mhm.
able to be positioned for our highest potential.
Right. And would you say that this is a time that is truly unlike anything else that's been for years?
I think so. I, it, there have been other moments where the world feels like it's shaking, that old things are shattered. But this is so extreme, what we're going through.
Yes.
Um, and it, we can see that down the road things could not be very pretty if we don't get it together, all of us.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, all of us will never get it together.
Right, all of us will never get it.
Right. I mean, that's never gonna happen. But
Mm,
what is important, what can happen is that individuals can, um, take a look at the celestial map, can understand that this is the direction evolution is pointing. This
mm,
is the direction that the forces, the cosmic forces are going. And
mm,
that is why I find this class and any kind of class like this so incredibly valuable because it's like what I do within my own life. When
mm.
I don't know what to do,
Yeah.
I look at the larger forces and I ask myself, which way is my life going?
Mm,
What are the forces in my life? What's the direction of the momentum of my life? And I follow that because you can't, I do not fight the momentum of my life and the momentum of the forces of my life.
right. And sometimes we know, I mean, very often, you have a whiff of something, you have a feeling of compression, something is coming.
Mhm.
But having guidance about this is incredible.
Right,
I And I've been doing, as you know, I've been doing this my entire life,
right,
really.
right,
Uh, Listening, I've always wanted to know where are we going? What is happening? What is happening to you?
right.
Uh,
And I do think a number of people are being swallowed by dragons,
yeah,
are being swallowed by their dragons, are being swallowed by the conflicts they're in, are being swallowed by the extremes that they are experiencing in their lives.
Mm.
And I think we will bring a lot of guidance and wisdom to them as we teach this class.
Yeah, that's really what the goal of this class is, to really to understand the process that you're in. And you don't need to be an astrologer to understand this. This is the language of the cosmos wakes up something as you listen to this.
Absolutely. We're going to start with the class on explaining being swallowed by the dragon, which I think is such a delicious phrase. And once someone gets that metaphor, they're going to feel it and understand it in themselves. Then we're going to talk about traveling through cycles of a cycle of chaos and finding hope, because hope is the gift that keeps on giving.
Mm, yeah, finding hope, because there's so many prophets of doom at the moment, and you open the newspaper and it's just devastating.
Right, right.
So we have to find that place without being completely unreal, but really grounded in the different forces that are at play in the world.
And the essential ingredients of the inner self, the role, why has the inner self been emphasized in terms of personal development for 70 years now?
Yeah, I remember James Hillman's book. We've had 100 years of psychotherapy, and the world's getting worse.
Right,
I
right,
remember that book,
right.
and and in fact, I think it was like a little hammer cracking that illusion that if we keep repeating, if we understand the past, everything will change. Um, that part of that is true, of course, but it is true because we do carry our past with us in our reflexes, our repetitions, our instincts. But we're always called out into something else.
Mhm.
Always.
Always. But I think what is delicious to emphasize is that the role of the inner self has never been more important, and that it's an actual cosmic force within us.
Mm. Yeah, and I think at times, in certain worlds, the inner self became, there are places where you can think you're contacting the inner self, but you're just caught in a loop.
Mhm.
But really being connected, when you're really connected.
Abs
There.
absolutely, absolutely. Which is why going into the class, How to Break Through the Cycle of Possession, is so important.
Right.
What are you possessed by? What possesses you? I mean, that's delicious. And then fear or freedom, another wonderful topic too. And in my experience as a teacher, as someone who's been involved in health and healing for decades now, I am always amazed at how frightened people are of becoming free and what that means, of liberating their own consciousness from thought forms that are so burdenous to them, and
Mm,
and how terrified they are of that. But
mm,
you know if if anything, that is another way to us understand what's happening now, is that it's an opportunity for the collective
mm,
to break through so many um, diabolical thoughts and fears
mm,
that have burdened humanity, but they have to come up and
mm.
be exposed, because that's what we're living
They're
through.
doing well, aren't they? There's certainly enough being shown to us right now of,
Yeah.
uh, yeah. And, it's true, we don't, it's almost like there's always a moment where you don't have a guardrail. And I
Mhm.
think one of the gifts of the astrological perspective, the larger cosmic language, is that you do have some timing. You have this notion that this is something is building or something is going to slide in another direction. And it's not totally independent of us. We participate in this.
Right, right. See, that to me is the great teaching, is that we are co-creators.
Mm,
What that means, that this energy in the universe, this Pluto energy, Mars energy, soul energy, it's all the substance of life, and all life breathes together. You know, it's an extra. And when I think about this, Lynn, I actually get high. Because I do. I don't want to do anything else but teach it, write about it. I dwell in it because to me, I finally understand that God is the laws of the universe, the language of the universe, love and light.
mm,
And that is the nature of the divine.
mm,
And it is in all things. And the planetary system is celestial law and
mm.
order. And it is constant influence and constant energy flowing. And that's how I get it.
I love to hear you talk about cosmic law, Carolyn. It's almost like I start to see the universe in a different way. I see shapes moving and
But it is law. It
mm,
is absolute. And even in the book of Job, which
mm,
is my favorite book of the scripture.
yeah,
And he said, and Job says, Yahweh says to Job, where were you when I hung the planets and ordered the heavens
mm,
and did it so perfectly and everything in its place? And that is really the way the universe is.
mm.
Everything has a role and everything has a place and everything has order. And it is astonishing to me. It takes my breath away. And this is what Teresa of Avila meant when she said, look for God in the details. Everything is perfection. It just takes my breath away. So for us, which is why we have the last class, how to envision the future. If human beings knew, if they recognized how extraordinary putting a new word in their head is, deciding I can't use this negative word anymore. I'm
Mm,
not going to use deserve or entitled. I'm
mm,
going to use appreciate and grateful
mm,
and see my life through a different lens. How that will change their bio-spiritual ecology.
mm,
And this is the power that's being awakened now. And it is time.
mm. It is, and it's time to, I think all this is moving us to a different relationship to the cosmos, but also a renewed relationship with each other.
Precisely.
And that renewed relationship with each other is essential and fundamental to moving out of this sometimes dangerous place that we find ourselves
Well, I am thrilled to teach. I cannot tell you how excited I am. I wish this class were 12 sessions. Maybe I'll rope you into teaching one again in the autumn because I am so excited about this. Oh, my dear. I'll talk to you later, and I want to thank you for this and thank everybody. And again, I have to tell you, you're going to be thrilled with Lynn, and she
in.
is one of my best friends. But I would say it anyway. Thank you, sweetie.
I'm like I completely electrified just listening to you, Carolyn, and I'm so excited, so lit up at the idea of this class and working with all of the people who will be on it, of course.
We're going to have such a good
We'll have fun.
time. Okay. Mwah. Bye, darling. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.